Hello, my darling bats, ravens, and everything else that goes bump in the night. I hope you're having a great morning, day, evening, night, whenever you are watching this video. I personally am doing pretty alright because this is a video about a subject that is very near and dear to my black little heart. Tarot. The origin of it, a little bit of history, what tarot is, what tarot isn't, and if we have time, we'll dive into the major arcana a little bit. But that is a big if, because I can talk about tarot forever. Probably. That's only a minor exaggeration. And I tend to blab away a lot. And then the video gets long. And then the poor boyfriend who edits my videos complains that the video is so long. And then it takes longer to render, which takes longer to upload it. And oh, it's a mess because I blab away about everything. So let's try not to do that. And I will try to keep it as much to the point as possible. Wish me luck, because this is about the 10th time I've tried to record this video. So fun to keep restarting all the time. Yay! Alright, let's start. What is tarot? The very basic of tarot. Tarot refers to a deck typically used for divination, although it can have some other uses. Some people use it as a form of self-care. Some people use it as self-reflection. Some people use it in meditation. Just depends. But the most common use is divination. It consists of a deck of cards that are 72 cards long. Though there are some variations on that. That's the most accepted, I guess, expected standard. It is separated into two kinds of cards. There's the major arcana and the minor arcana. I guarantee some of you, even if you haven't really researched tarot, you've probably heard of the major arcana. They're the most usually frequently shown in like pop culture and movies and shows and things like that. The major arcana are 22 cards. They start from 0, not 1, and they go to number 21. And they're usually labeled by Roman numerals. Though not always, they usually are. They're also called the trump cards. I don't like calling them trump cards for probably obvious reasons, so I just call them the major arcana. Now, the rest of the deck is called the minor arcana. They consist of 56 cards total. Those 56 are separated into 4 suits, similar to how normal playing cards are. Each suit is separated into 14 cards total. The way those are numbered is they start with an ace, and they go up to 10, and then after 10 they have 4 court cards. Similar to how playing cards have a jack, queen, and king, we have an additional card, which is a knight. So usually it goes jack, knight, queen, king. However, some decks actually don't have jacks. It all depends on how the creator of the deck wanted them to be called. I've seen pages replace jacks. I've seen son or daughter replace jacks. So it could be jack, son, daughter, knight, queen, king, things like that. The names of the suits also vary for decks, but generally the most accepted names or the names of the suits are wands, batons, or rods for one suit. There's cups, there's swords, and then there's also pentacles, coins, or discs for all one suit. It all depends. And again, the names can vary, but the meanings of the suits still stay the same, if that makes sense. Like you can substitute out the name, but the meaning will remain the same, so that way it's not confusing. So what is tarot not? And let me be very clear with this, only because I've had to explain this to people in my life and sort of defend it a little bit, which granted, if you don't know about it, you might not know this, so I'm trying to be as nice about it as possible. Tarot is not evil. It's not. It's not evil. It's not satanic in terms of being linked to the Christian and Catholic devil. It's not. In fact, it's not even associated with a religion. If anything, it would be pagan, only because it dates all the way back to the 15th century and doesn't have anything to do with Christianity, Catholicism, or really any other established religion. Now that being said, you don't have to be a pagan or an atheist to be a tarot reader. Not by any stretch of the imagination. You can be Christian, you can be Catholic, you can be atheist, you could be agnostic, you could be Muslim, anything. You can be religious and read tarot. You can be non-religious and read tarot. It's not linked to a religion, so let's just get that out of the way. And it's not evil. It's not satanic. All it is is a tool used for a couple different purposes, but the main one is divination. Just kind of telling your fortune, telling the future, that sort of thing. Though some people use it in terms of meditation. They'll draw a card, meditate on the meaning, and go about it that way. Some people use it as self-care, like, hey, how should I take care of myself today, for example, and pull it and be like, oh, okay, so this card is linked with this, so that's how I should do it, that sort of thing. It has multiple uses, but the main one is divination. So, where did tarot come from? It's a very, very old concept that has been revamped a couple of times. The original form of tarot, roughly, because this is a long time ago, dates back to Europe, at least in the 15th century, most likely in Italy. I don't know if Italy is credited with creating tarot or it just became popular in Italy around that time. But it can be traced back to Italy around the 15th century. Back then, tarot was not used in divination, was not even linked to the occult in any way. It was just used as a card game. And typically, only those who were wealthier could afford it, because at this time there was no printing press, all the cards had to be handmade, so it makes sense you'd had to have some money in order to afford a tarot deck. Really, the only downside to having a tarot back then is, or a tarot deck back then I should say, is if it led to excessive gambling. It wasn't really linked to anything negative, it's just a card game, at least back then. Now, fast forward to the 1700s. This is when tarot first became linked, I guess, in ways to the occult. That's when it first was given an order, similar to what we have now, and meanings for each card, and kind of used for divination. This was adapted, and I had to look up how to pronounce this. If anyone speaks French and I still mispronounce this, I am sorry. But it is credited to a Frenchman named Jean-Baptiste Eliot, although he also went by Etela as his writing name. He is credited as the first professional tarot reader because he was the first one to publish a guide on how to read tarot, and he was the first one to assign an order and a meaning and spreads to tarot. Now, how he did this was he borrowed from a couple different places. He borrowed from astrology, he borrowed from beliefs regarding the 4 elements, and he also borrowed from the Egyptians, specifically the Book of Thoth. Thoth, I think is how you pronounce it. Though there's some variation on that too and debate on how it's pronounced. But Thoth was the Egyptian god of wisdom. And this book, the Book of Thoth, was credited by being written by him. So he borrowed from Thoth, the 4 elements, and astrology in order to create his guide. Then in 1909 is when tarot got another sort of revamping. And that was from William Ryder, who was a publisher, and A.E. Waite, who was a tarot reader. Those names might sound familiar if you're familiar with tarot, because that is the structure that a lot of tarot decks modernly follow, the Rider-Waite structure, because of the Rider-Waite tarot deck. They also published a guide on how to read tarot, and they also introduced the idea of the images of the tarot cards being very intricate and relaying to the meanings, and how you lay down the cards is what relates to the meanings and things like that. Now, this was also later revamped again in the 1970s, which is when tarot once again became very popular because they revised and reprinted the Rider-Waite book, and also someone named Stephen Copland added his own addition to how to read tarot and things like that. So that's like a brief history, and most decks nowadays follow the Rider-Waite structure, just because that's just the most recent, I suppose, way to do it. But not every deck follows that, which is fine, but most decks do. And in fact, I have a deck with me that kind of follows that structure, but kind of not. So this is where I'm going to get into the major arcana. I'm very excited. But first off, let me say, if you're interested in tarot and you want to learn about tarot and maybe you don't know where to start, I'm going to suggest this book, which I have shown in other videos. The Tarot Companion by Liz Dean. This book actually goes along with the Rider-Waite deck. In fact, it shows pictures from the Rider-Waite deck. It talks briefly about how to charge your cards, how to pick your cards, or at least deal them, you know, how to do readings, different spreads, and it goes in depth for every card, the different meanings, and what it means when cards are inverted, and different spreads and what their placement in the spreads mean as well. It's a fantastic book. I use it every time I do a reading. It has never let me down. So first off, let me just suggest, if you want to know a good beginning book, this is it. Plus, it's hardcover, so it lasts a good while. Alright, quick recap. We talked about what tarot was, what tarot isn't, and the history of tarot. And again, disclaimer, not a tarot expert, not a tarot historian. I could be wrong on some details, but that's the general consensus of how tarot came to be, at least modern tarot. Feel free to double check what I say, and again, some sources are kind of conflicting as terms of dates, but the people generally stay the same. But if you're a beginner tarot reader, or even a more experienced tarot reader, but maybe want a more concise and easily understandable book, I have a suggestion for you, and I actually brought it with me this time. The Tarot Companion by Liz Dean. Everything I've read from Liz Dean is extremely helpful, it's very easy to understand, and it's structured really well. This particular book is great. In the very beginning, it talks about multiple uses of tarot. It goes into different spreads, how to charge your cards, how to shuffle your cards, how to pick your cards. And then right after that, it instantly goes straight into the major arcana and then the minor arcana. And the details for the definitions are very thorough and wonderful. They talk about all sorts of interpretations, all sorts of meanings, how many cards you might see appear in a spread matters. Where they appear in the spread matters. What orientation, if they're the right way up or if they're inverted, all matters. And they actually have good descriptions of inverted definitions, because some that I see don't really go into inverted. And in fact, some tarot readers don't even count inverted. I personally do, but some don't. Because when it comes to tarot, it's all about, I guess, what feels the best. There's not really any solid rules of you have to do it this way and that's the only way. No. And anyone who tells you that, don't listen to them. If you want to be a tarot reader, it's all about what feels right for you, but it doesn't hurt to know a little bit of the history and a couple of different ways of how people do it. So, anyway, that little disclaimer out of the way. The tarot deck I'm going to show you is actually very good for talking about the major arcana because it only has the major arcana. You might be thinking, well, you just told me it's a 72 card deck. Yes, most are. But there are some decks that are called royal tarot decks, which means they consist only of the major arcana. So this is perfect. Also, this particular deck is handmade, and it was a gift from a darling friend of mine. I love it so much. The artwork is wonderful. It's like classic movie monsters. I love it. So I actually have the guidebook that came with it. Plus I love that it's a book, not a pamphlet. I hate the pamphlets, but here's the book. I believe this was purchased off of Etsy. I don't know the creator. I'm going to try and find it though so I can give them the credit that they deserve, because this deck is gorgeous. But here it is. The Tarot Major Arcana Guidebook from the Ghoulish Garb. I don't know if that's the store or not, but that's the name of the deck. So the tarot deck I'm going to use to talk about the major arcana today is actually perfect because it consists only of the major arcana. Now remember, I just told you most tarot decks have 72 cards, right? Well, there are some that are called royal tarot decks. All that means is it consists only of the major arcana. You can still use them for divination and other purposes. There's nothing wrong with it. This particular one just doesn't have the minor arcana, and some don't. There's not really any set rules when it comes to tarot. It's just general guidelines, I suppose, like that Pirates quote. It's more of a general guideline than actual rules. But this deck I'm very excited about for multiple reasons. A, it is handmade. B, the pictures are gorgeous and they're based off of classic movie monsters. Aww. And C, it was actually a gift. So I was so excited. A friend of mine got them for me, I believe, for Christmas. I was so excited. I loved it so much. So here it is. I have the book here that goes along with it. And first off, I love tarot decks that come with actual books instead of the little tiny pamphlets. I hate the little tiny pamphlets. They're so just practically useless. So whenever there's a darling book that comes with it, I love it. So it's the Ghoulish Garb's Tarot. Is a mouthful to say, but I still love it. So I'm going to go through. It does have lovely illustrations of the cards. It's kind of hard to show. Nope, okay, wrong side. It does have illustrations in here, it's just not wanting to show them, but they are in here. But I also have the cards with me. Also, the box that I have them in is also off of Etsy, I believe. I believe the cards are from Etsy and the box are from Etsy, but I don't think they're from the same people. I'm going to try and find them if I can because they deserve their due, but if I can't, I'm sorry. But it all goes to Etsy creators. So the box itself is based on a Ouija board. I personally don't own a Ouija board, but I still like the aesthetic of them. It's a really nice handmade box. It's a nice quality. It's just painted really well, but the cards are inside and they're kind of bashing around a little bit, so I'm trying to be gentle. All right, here we are. So, because they are only the major arcana, the decks are much smaller, which is fine. But let me just talk about the gorgeousness of this deck, okay? Look at the backing on these cards. It's hand-drawn, I assume. It is just gorgeous, is amazing. And then look, we'll start off with the Fool. Just look at that artwork. Just look at it. It's gorgeous. Just, oh, wonderful. I love it. So I'll go through the cards, tell you what numbers they are, things like that. I'm not good with the meanings of the cards, only because I don't have a lot of them memorized. Like I said, I'm not an expert. But that can probably be covered in another video. But first we'll start with number 0, the Fool. Next one is the Magician, number 1. And I love that he looks like a mad doctor. It's amazing. Number 2, love this one. We got, I'm assuming, Medusa, the High Priestess, number 2. Next we have the Empress, number 3. Give me major, what's her name? What's her name?
You looking for me?
Elvira. Major Elvira vibes a little bit. Next we have the Emperor, number 4. Total, gotta be Vlad Dracula, or at least just Dracula imagery in general. It's amazing. Also, side note, still rewatching Castlevania. Forgot how amazing that show is. So if you want a good vampire show, Castlevania, it's on Netflix, but they also have the DVDs out for the first 3 seasons. Watch it. Glorious. Amazing. Not for children. Let me just throw that out there. Not for children. Anyway, back to this. The Hierophant, number 5. Sorry, the number 5, Hierophant. We have the classic Cthulhu. Can't go wrong with a little Cthulhu. Next we have number 6, the Lovers. And I love the imagery of that. Next we have number 7, the Chariot. Very Egyptian vibe from this. Definitely. Number 8, Strength. That definitely looks like Cerberus to me. I love Cerberus. Side note, does anyone read Lore of Olympus or know about Lore of Olympus? Sorry. It's an amazing comic on the internet. I believe it's on webcomic. It's an amazing comic. It's free to read. You should read it and support it. It is a lovely series. But it's like a retelling of classic Greek mythology. And the Cerberus and other dogs in there, so adorable. Next we have number 9, the Hermit, which of course looks like Karen, bringing people across the river Styx. Next we have 10, the Wheel of Fortune. And again, very Egyptian-y looking vibe. And again, these cards are handmade and they're hand-drawn and they're amazing and I love them so much. Next we have Justice, which is death. And or the Grim Reaper, I should say. There is a card that is death, but this is the Grim Reaper, obviously, and I think that is very fitting for the Justice card. Next we have number 11. No. 12. Sorry. I'm really bad at the Roman numerals. Duh. Next we have the Hanged Man. Whoops. Which looks like a classic marionette puppet. It's funny, every time I see this card, I always want to like flip it around because I keep forgetting he's supposed to be upside down. That's just me. The Hanged Man looks like a classic marionette puppet. Kind of creepy. Next, here's the death card that I was telling you about. But it's the Headless Horseman. So again, wonderful. I also love Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. Little side note, that is a fantastic movie with Johnny Depp. Absolutely love it. Next we have... Oh, sorry. Death was number 13, for the record. 13. Next we have 14, which is Temperance. Looks like an angel figure. Now, I have a question. Is this relating to Supernatural and or Doctor Who? I'm not familiar with either one, but I think I've seen something similar to this. So if anyone knows, let me know. This might be linked to Doctor Who / Supernatural. I'm not sure. Or it could just be an awesome angel figure. Either way. Next we have 15. The Devil. Now, remember where I said where these cards are not linked to religion? I did mean it. But they do borrow from religions. And the devil is a common staple in tarot readings. And it doesn't mean what you think it means. I do not think it means what you think it means. Princess Bride. The devil is one that I know. It usually means enslavement. It doesn't mean like evil or evil doings or like the actual Christian or Catholic devil. It's usually like enslavement, feeling trapped, that sort of thing. Alright, next we have number 16, the Tower, which in this case just looks amazing. And I don't remember the specific definition of the Tower, but if you get the Tower, stuff's about to go down and you better brace yourself. Like, it is a very like, oh boy. Next we have 10, 15, 16, 17, the Star, if I can separate the cards out, which is a darling mermaid, or siren, depending, but it is gorgeous, and I love it. I also love mermaids and sirens, like my house is decorated with them, among other things like dragons and fairies and all sorts of things. Now, next, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, very fitting, the Moon, of course, is a werewolf, or lichen, depending, but yes. Classic wolfman creature. It's kind of hard, like the moon itself looks like it's glowing only because of the light, but you can kind of see that, there we go, there's a face in the moon. It's kind of hard to tell because of the light, but there is like a, I guess a Jack Skellington kind of face. But yeah, there's that. Next we have number 19, the Sun. What I assume looks like a little classic voodoo doll or something like that, or just like a little sock puppet doll. Still looks very cute though. Next we have number 20, Judgment. I love the look of this card because it reminds me of like a witch just passing judgment down on people, which is great. Sometimes I swear I'm just like, oh. If I could be like a classic witch and turn people into toads, oh, you best believe I would. Let's just say that. But it looks like there's zombies down below, so maybe she's just bringing on the zombie apocalypse because she's sick of people's crap. So there's that. Next we have, actually I should say lastly, we have number 21, the World, which is quite impressive. You know what, this card, what does this card remind me of? It kind of, you know what, I think I know what it is. It's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It took me a second. But yes, we have Dr. Jekyll turning into Mr. Hyde here. Plus I love like the gargoyles around the corner. But here is generally what the Major Arcana consists of. Now, again, it's from 0 to 21, though it's technically 22 cards, and each deck has different versions of the Major Arcana in terms of like artwork, which is one of the reasons why I do the videos showing off my cards, because all the artwork is unique and amazing, and I feel it deserves to get recognition. They're just precious. So, once again, here's the backing for all the cards, and like I said, I don't know who made this deck. I'm assuming Ghoulish Garb is the name of the store, but the cards are gorgeous. I love them so much. I love the box that they come in. Here, let me show you the inside of the box. Here's the inside. It's all nicely painted. Now there is felt in there that I personally added. It didn't come with the felt. I just like having my cards have like a nice soft bottom, but that's just up to you. But it's a gorgeous box. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's really nicely made. It definitely is sturdy, and the cards are absolutely stunning. They're amazing. So, have I said that they're amazing and pretty enough times in this video? Have you gotten that point yet?
Amazing! Shut up.
Anyway, so there you have it. You have a brief history of tarot, what tarot is, what tarot isn't, and diving a little bit into the Major Arcana in terms of their numbering and things like that. There we go. You saw the cards. You learned about tarot. Hopefully you're excited about tarot. Maybe not as excited about it as I am, but that's okay. A few people are. And I showed you an awesome deck. And like I said, if I can find the deck in the box on Etsy, I will try. I can't make any promises, and unfortunately I don't have the business cards of the people who made them, but I do know that they're handmade and they are on Etsy, so let me at least point you in that direction, because these people deserve all the credit for what they make. It is gorgeous. So, just to recap, we talked about what tarot is, what tarot isn't, the history of tarot, went through the Major Arcana, got a book suggestion, talked about the Ghoulish Garb's Terror Tarot, and got to see a darling box with the cards inside dealt out. So I hope you enjoyed. Here comes the YouTube spiel. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a comment. Here's one for you. Are you interested in reading tarot? yes or no, or give me why or why not. Do you have any questions relating to tarot? As I said, not an expert, but I can try and answer them. What was your favorite card from this deck? Let me know. Or would you be interested in me using another deck that I have to explain the minor arcana? Let me know. I'm curious. But I'm going to end this here, only because it's getting very long. I hope the rest of you have a great rest of your day, whether, again, you're watching this in the morning, evening, or night, whichever. And I will see you in the next video. Farewell.